and have an excellent meeting.
Who's Vanna that says that?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, thanks, Seth. Okay.
Let's
Is
go.
everybody
We're here. We're ready to go.
Everybody
Fired
in?
up.
Okay, good evening. And welcome to the July 22nd meeting of Scituate Conservation Commission. Just a couple of quick things to read. This meeting is being held virtually as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You're hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Scituate in accordance with the open meeting law. And the town of Scituate's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Scituate Conservation Commission is committed to providing an environment of respect during meetings. We ask all members to interact in a polite manner, even when there's disagreement. We value the participation of our community and want all participants, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to feel welcome and respected. We ask our committee members and all who participate to commit to these standards and to support and respect our community. Okay. All that said, we have an agenda, and I'd like to get a motion to accept it, but I'd also like to just maybe a couple of minutes at the end, if we don't drag on, just to talk about a couple of open space type issues.
Okay. So I'll make a motion. We accept the agenda with Frank's add-on if we have time.
And can we add one minor modification to it also for, well, it might not even be that. I just wanted to let you know about a site's plan that changed a tiny bit.
Okay, and then Jen's tiny bit change.
I just wrote tiny.
And just also, apparently, in the RDA's 18 Oliver will not be heard tonight because it wasn't properly advertised. So,
Okay.
just if anybody's here for 18 Oliver Street, that will not be opened or discussed because it was not advertised properly. All right.
Okay.
All right. We have
Wellesley.
So that was I got
Frank,
you do need to open this one.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Easy. Do we get a vote in a second on the agenda?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
Well, what are you doing? Sleeping, Richard?
I'll second it then.
Wow. That's the French coming out in them.
I understand. Now you need to vote.
All in favor? Richard?
No, I just seconded it.
Oh, that's right. Doug?
Yes.
Jen?
Jen's not with us tonight.
Okay.
Not with us.
Brendan?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
And Frank, yes.
We're
Thank
off
you.
to a good start.
We are like a herd of turtles.
Charge.
All right. 11 Wellesley Road. On July 22nd, 2024, at the 6 p.m. meeting, Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws, and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws, regarding the notice of intent application for Charles Shea for work related to a demolition and reconstruction of a garage at 11 Wellesley Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the virtual meetings available on the agenda on the town website. And who do we have for that? That's Morse Engineering?
Yes, Jeff Hassett's here. Yep.
And Jeff?
Jeff Hassett here. Good evening, everyone. So I'm here with Morse Engineering on behalf of the property owner, Charles Shea. This is an NOI filing to raise and reconstruct the garage. The property itself is about 10,000 square feet. It is developed with the single family home, a detached garage, and a paved driveway. And the property slopes gently in an easterly direction, which is the right side of the page. There are no vegetated wetlands on the property or within 100 feet. But about half of the property, the right-hand side of the page here, is within a FEMA Zone AE elevation 15. So that's land subject to coastal storm flowage. So this filing is to reconstruct the garage only. The house itself is outside of that, outside of the floodplain.
Okay.
So concentrating on the garage is 24 by 24. It will have flood vents, so it will be constructed in accordance with building code. It's being moved forward, so in that location is primarily within the footprint of the existing paved driveway. And that existing garage that area will be loamed and seeded. And then that bold dashed line along the property line is the erosion control barrier, which will be a 12-inch mulch stock. And with that, I'll pass it back to you.
Okay, Jen?
Yes, I did have a couple questions. So it looks like the driveway's being redone and the patio's being widened, kind of connecting the house and the garage. You said lumen seeded where the existing garage is. I assume that'll be lawn.
Yes.
And then my other question was, none of these trees are coming down that are on there.
Yeah, no trees to be removed. The driveway you can see on the right-hand side is being widened by, I don't know, about 4 or 5 feet. So it lines up with the new garage.
Oh, yeah.
And then the patio the existing patio is being replaced and will be a couple feet wider.
And this did not have to go to zoning with this plan?
No zoning.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, it looks like it's a fully conforming lot and the garage meets all the zoning setbacks.
Doug?
It looks pretty straightforward. I don't really have a problem. It kind of looks like the silt sock could be extended along the southern boundary a little more, maybe up to the 15-foot contour or something like that. But other than that, I don't have any comments. The flood vents, Jeff, those are like what, just above the floor level of the
Yeah,
slab?
they have to be within a foot of the floor.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Penny?
Yeah, I'm just curious, whose shed is that at the bottom of the plan?
The neighbors out back.
Okay, so they're facing the street is up above at the top?
Right.
Okay, I was getting a little confused here. Nope, it looks pretty good to me. Very straightforward. Thank you.
Okay. Brendan?
Yeah, sorry. No, I don't have any questions.
Eric?
So, yeah, not much. Just this is like a 1-2 car garage.
2 cars wide, yep.
Repeat that. I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, it's 2 cars wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, 24 by 24 is pretty standard for a 2-car garage.
Nope, I was just curious on that. Nothing else.
Okay. Richard?
Nope, I'm good.
We have anybody in the audience?
Frank,
Yeah.
I just have a real quickie here. That outdoor storage that's connected to the existing garage, that's being eliminated too?
Yes.
Okay. They'll use the garage for storage, right?
Yes.
There's not another one going up somewhere that we should know now.
Not that I'm
I think that says shower on it, Benny.
Oh, it does. I'm sorry. I can't read.
Come on, Penny.
Yeah, so they're gonna have an outdoor shower? I don't know. Okay,
I
go ahead.
love my outdoor shower.
Oh, yeah. Well, you live on the beach, honey.
That's right.
Hey, you don't have to be at the beach to have an outdoor shower.
That's also true.
Well, yeah, my neighbor has one.
All right, keep the business here.
Yeah, let's keep
Yeah.
rolling here. Am I missing something, Jeff, or is there also an addition on the back of the house?
Yeah,
So this is a whole new house and it's just not the garage. This is
Yeah, but it's out of our jurisdiction, he said, Frank.
so the site plan also shows a raise and reconstruction of the garage. Of the house. That
okay.
is outside of the floodplain. And I'm told they already have a building permit for it. So we're really only here for the portion with just the downgrading of the 15-foot contour.
Hello, baby.
Okay. So,
Good girl.
but
That
given
wasn't-
that this is, I think just back to Doug's thing with the silt sock. I mean, I see there's some fencing and stuff to contain things, but,
Lay down.
so first I was thinking it would be fine because everything pitches down to the silt sock, but just wondering if that should extend at least to the property line. Is this already under construction, the proposed dwelling?
I think it is, yeah.
That-
But we can have that mulch sock extended right up to that property corner.
I think that would be
That would-
something that
not a
should
big deal.
happen there.
Yeah.
Could follow the fence or whatever. Oh, that's interesting. So it's just because the garage is in the floodplain?
Yeah.
There's no wetlands here.
Nope.
No wetlands, no buffer.
Okay,
No, nothing.
all right. And did not have anybody in the audience, correct? Okay,
Okay.
all right. Take a
You want a
motion.
motion?
Yep.
I make a motion to close.
Can we
Oh.
close an issue if we add the condition of erosion control more
Yeah.
around the limit of work or, finish the back of the house?
I think so.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to close and issue the orders tonight.
Okay, that was from Penny. Do I have a second?
I'll
I'll second that.
I couldn't tell. Doug?
The top,
That was
Doug.
Doug.
I guess that was Doug. All in favor, Richard,
Yep.
Brendan,
Yes.
and Eric,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Thank you. 28 River Road, this was continued. And this is some landscape enhancements.
Yes, I'm assuming Jeff will still be presenting it. They've submitted the revised plans as requested with additional plantings. As well as updated the site plan as requested.
Yeah.
Okay. Jen, do you have any other comments on that one?
I think that I just, whether there's dune near there or on there isn't decided. So I would just want in the conditions that we haven't decided on all the
Right, or
resources that
something.
are there.
You know what I did? I muted something here.
We can hear you.
Maybe.
I must have muted something.
Can you
Why?
hear us now?
I got
We
it
hear
now.
you. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Richard, you want
I think they did what we asked for. I don't have any particularly new questions.
to, okay. Doug?
no questions. I don't think I saw the original proposal, but I don't have any questions for this.
Okay. Penny?
Yeah, can I just ask, I can't remember, what's the square in the middle, in the back area there? Right in the middle.
It's a fire pit.
It's a fire pit and that's
Yeah.
staying.
Yep, it's made of granite, so they'll reset it.
Okay, thank you. No, I'm all set. It looks good to me.
Okay. Brendan?
Oh, I don't want to disrupt the flow, so I'll be all set.
Hey, we don't need to be in unison here. We want to be,
No, we're
I had
individuals.
nothing anyway.
all right. Eric?
Yeah, I appreciate the update. I'm glad that we're all able to work together to get the compromise in on the planting plan. I think it looks good.
Great, thank you. Do we
You
have
like
anybody in the audience? I was gonna ask you if you were cool with the plants, right? seems like it's the right ones, but
Yeah, no,
I
think
would
it was
defer.
good to increase sort of the square footage there, and then, I think the determination at the last meeting was to bump up the square footage by 50% and only increase the herbaceous material that had already been presented.
Yeah.
So I think that this works out well.
Great. Thank you. Do we have anybody in the audience?
Don't see anybody.
Nope. Okay. Can I get I think it looks great.
I'll make a motion to close.
And if you, I'm sorry to interrupt. If you
Close an
want to
issue?
also close an issue, that would be great.
I'll make a motion to close an issue.
Second,
Richard, seconded by Penny before anybody had a chance. All in favor, Doug,
Yes.
I'm in a rush.
Brendan,
Yes,
and Eric.
Yes.
Mike, yes. Thank
My
you.
wife's gone. I need to go close and celebrate.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
I'm
She's on
telling.
she's on
Wow,
a
you-
girls' week. What am I gonna
s-
do?
I'll
Well, you
strike that
said
from the
that-
minutes.
You said that on a recording that goes on YouTube to the
Oh.
entire world.
I'm gonna tell
She
her.
knows. She knows.
She's not too worried, I don't think.
Well, I hope she doesn't
Oh,
read the
she's not.
minutes.
She's welcome to read them. It's fine.
Uh,
Actually, she
uh,
doesn't. She does
All
read 'em.
right.
165 Summer Street.
I'm in-
All right. We have Jeff Hassett. I'm Jeff DeLisi. I'm unmuting, and they did submit a revised plan with some additional plantings, which I see to be on the Norwell side. My understanding is this common driveway is not been approved by our planning department. So I give you that information.
So we can't close.
Because my understanding is Scituate would want to see a turnaround area on the common driveway, which isn't on this, so there would be a potential change to the plan. So it'd be nice to have the final working plan before we close. But they are done with Norwell, both Norwell Conservation and Planning.
Okay, just Jeff DeLisi here. Can you hear me?
We can. Good
Okay, before I get into it, hey, Richard, I guess I'm not going to get anything done in the Board of Health this week. Thanks for letting me know that.
No worries.
No, just briefly, the common driveway itself, if you notice on the plan, is actually in the town of Norwell. There would not be a submittal for a common driveway plan in the town of Scituate.
Really?
Yep.
Wait
The
a minute.
entire common portion of the driveways in Norwell, and then correct me if I'm wrong about this, Jeff. And then the off of the common portion will be two driveways, one which heads towards the house on the right that you could see, and then the other, which is the road or the driveway, which is the subject of this meeting,
Oh,
which would
yeah.
go off into the other direction. So, no common driveway in the town of Scituate, and that's why we're not going to be filing for one. So, as far as everything else is concerned, I'll let Jeff talk about his plan.
Okay, thank you.
And by the way, we got through ZBA. They approved the other night. So.
Yeah, agreed with what Jeff DeLisi's comments. The common driveway is entirely in Norwell. Just to add, the plan was approved by Norwell Conservation between the last meeting and today. Last Scituate Conservation meeting.
Okay.
So basically, I think the recollection is that there's
Ow.
you guys were pretty much looking for some mitigation for some trees, I think, in the area to kind of trade off for what might be cleared in order to put this in. But the reminder is that this driveway actually in this location already exists. It's primarily a previously altered area out there. And I think that we also talked about adding a condition that would require something having to do with trees to compensate for trees that may be removed or will be removed when a house goes in on lot 2 at some point. And I think I indicated that that's perfectly reasonable to us.
Okay.
That would be in the orders, right, Jen?
Well, that was the discussion that came up. It was to do with the fact that this driveway is sort of a driveway to nothing at this point, and then the development in the back lot could kind of go on without any further review. And so that was the discussion that we asked about, so that we had the opportunity to review whatever got developed in the back part, because it just seemed like ordinarily this would be something that if this whole project was brought forward at the same time, which they could have done, they could have showed us where they planned to put the rest of the driveway and where they were going to build a house, but apparently that's not, that those plans haven't evolved yet. So
Yeah, they have not developed. That's something a buyer would figure out.
right, but without that, we don't have any way to lot. I think and I'm jumping ahead, there's other members that can speak about this, but essentially, what are you calling that, the lot that's in Scituate with the with number 165 on it?
The existing house is lot 1.
Okay, so that's lot 1, and then lot.
And have these lots been done?
Yeah,
They've been A&R'd, yes.
No.
They have not. Nope.
Really?
The zoning board approved the 50-foot frontage lot, so that lot 2 you can now construct a house on it. Okay. Lot 1 is a fully conforming lot and already has a house on it. And so there will need to be an A&R plan endorsed by the planning board. We applied for it initially, and they wanted to see the delineation, in particular the wetlands, which is a requirement of an A&R application. So we only previously had a delineation for purposes of a septic plan, I think, that was developed for lot 2 many, many years ago. So we thought that it was probably the prudent course of action to see you folks first, so that the planning board has the benefit of knowing where the wetlands are for purposes of the A&R application. And the common driveway, which is in Norwell, would be used for access to lot 2. So the frontage of lot 2 would not be used as its own access. And that's why the planning board thought that we ought to go get this delineated. There was a question that they had about the common driveway, and we'll be able to answer that to them when we reapply.
When you reapply
For a
for the
division
A&R,
with the
okay.
A&R. Yep. So we've already applied to the planning board for an A&R.
Mhm.
Okay. We were told that the application technically was not complete because there was not a delineation of the wetland area. So it's a chicken and the egg scenario. We have to come to you with this plan in order to get a delineation, and then we'll go back to them.
And we I'd approve those wetlands lines, correct?
Correct. So it's the lines and the driveway. It's not just the lines.
Right.
Right. Yeah, so since the last meeting, that area in green, that's existing driveway that will be revegetated, It was just called out to be a seed mix. So we've added plantings in that area. There'll be 14 spice bushes, 2 black chokeberries, and then 5 American hornbeam trees. So that area will now be, woody vegetation as well. And then just to point out, when lot 2 in the back is developed, if they disturb more than 15,000 square feet, they'll need a stormwater permit, and they'll be back in front of you. You know,
They'll be
Planning
in front of us for that or planning?
Plan.
well, I guess that's kind of in front of one of you.
if not both.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So typically, I mean, I guess typically if we're doing a conservation hearing, we would be the ones to do the stormwater.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
I mean, we're not gonna fight about it. We can discuss it with planning and see. But I guess that's a good point that, so right now you have a driveway that comes to that property line between lot 1 and lot 2. And then beyond that, there's like an existing path, but that's not really an improved driveway. So the disturbance is gonna be building a driveway, correct? As well as installing utilities.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And then clearing land for a home.
That would be phase 2 down the road, yes.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
At this point-
And the reason that they want to know about the wetlands for us is when they do the A&R, they have to show that they have sufficient uplands as part of that plan, right?
Right, correct.
Can I ask just a question regarding
Very good.
this situation? Because if the wetland line is what needs to be approved, why do we have to do anything with the driveway at this point? Why can't we just wait until the prospective buyer decides to build and then installs a driveway from the common driveway, which Norwell has already approved? If all we need is a wetland delineation, why aren't we just talking about that? Why are we talking about a project that goes to nowhere?
Well, the current owner is desirous of actually improving the driveway prior to selling.
That doesn't need water and electricity and all of that, does it?
No, but before they can sell lot 1 with the existing house, they have to have all that work approved and the easements in place for it.
Well, you could run sleeves through the Norwell section and have that terminate the Norwell Scituate border, I would presume, and then the hookups would be there, and then the
Yeah, but
driveway itself could be brought to us when the plans for the actual project for the house are complete, right?
Well, you wouldn't want to sell the front house until you have all that, your permits in order for the back house. Because then, the easements go over that property.
And the driveway goes over that.
So
I'm
property.
sorry, are there easements on this plan?
Well,
Yeah,
there'll be an easement over lot 1 to benefit the back lot 2.
The driveway to lot 2 goes through the middle of lot 1
Right.
in an easement.
That's correct, Frank.
But okay,
So what they're looking to do, Jen, is to build the driveway and have it in place prior to selling or whatever, sort of controlling how the driveway goes
on
to
their
lot-
property.
on their property. So it kind of makes sense what they're doing. The thing is that they can't put a driveway to lot 2 without a major wetlands crossing. I don't even know if they could get there.
Right.
Okay.
So, so this would be the better of the options from that perspective.
I think from an environmental standpoint, they're staying as far away from the wetlands as they can. The hard part is this what goes back to something that someone tried to or started to do a long time ago and
Yeah.
then backed away. So now they're trying to piece it back together. And
We still don't have the leaching field on this plan that was put in back there.
we did ask for that.
isn't that what's in the front of the house?
No,
That's for
no.
165.
That's for 165.
Oh,
This is-
you mean there's already a leaching field in the back and lot
Yeah.
two?
If you look
Yeah.
at the far back, Doug, you see a retaining wall, and that retaining wall was for the leaching field. It may not even, that leaching field probably needs to be upgraded, because if that was installed prior to Title V, that may be too deep in the ground.
It's a fun one.
Do you see where the retaining wall is?
I do, yep.
Yeah, I mean, when you go out back there, when Brendan and Eric and I walked property adjacent to that, we could see that retaining wall through the woods.
So what did we want to do for any trees that are taken down for future projects?
You want them
We maybe
replanted.
had some language that for that.
I think it had to do with the size of the trees, and then they could put 2 or 3 or 1 tree if it's a big tree. It depended upon, we were talking about that.
It's
tree.
it's one of the things we need to do is pull together a policy for that,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
we have a situation where this thing's sort of getting away from us a little bit in being able to look at what gets altered in the back. And that's what the question was, I think, to Attorney DeLisi and to, I don't think it was Jeff on the last one.
It was.
Okay,
The two Jeffs.
okay.
Yeah, no, the only thing I pointed out was that the area on lot 2 where, where this house would be constructed, it is outside of your jurisdiction, and you pointed out, Frank, that, well, it would be part of our jurisdiction as an overall plan if it were filed, if you actually had the actual plan.
Right.
So I indicated I was open to language as Jen just suggested. I don't know what that language is because you don't have a policy.
Right.
But it seems fair to treat it in a manner as if it were in front of you at the time. You know what I mean? I think you're afraid that should you pass on that kind of condition now, you might not get it back.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're opening the barn door and we don't know how big the elephant is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering if there could be a condition that it's the Conservation Commission is the stormwater approving granting authority, and I think then I think you probably have the ability to look at it at the time, and it almost seems intuitive that it would be, right, because of the exact reason why we're talking about this. So
Right. Typically, if we're doing the wetlands, we obviously discuss it with the planning board, but sort of the way we've been trying to do that is we would do the stormwater if we were doing the wetlands.
So just impose a condition that because you already have the authority to be the stormwater approving granting authority, just put the condition that you will be the one. And I think we can just take care of it then.
I haven't even gone through the whole lineup here. Let me start just with the other. Jen, are you satisfied with your comments so far?
Yes, yes.
Richard?
No, I got nothing to add.
Sorry.
No
Doug?
worries.
Well, maybe I'm oversimplifying this, but actually I don't have a problem with anything, with the idea of building the road, the utilities, all of that now actually makes sense to me. I think apart from the issue that driveway that's going to be supplemented and regraded is in the 50. So I'd be looking for some mitigation for that, along with any trees, that are taken down. So other than that, I mean, there's plenty of room outside of the 100-foot to build the entire house and site without
Between the 2, yeah.
yeah,
I
without
guess
having
the issue,
even
Doug,
have
is
to
that
come back to us.
we don't know what I'm with you that I understand why they want to build all this, and your point is well made. They are in the 50 with the driveway. So we have jurisdiction over, in my thinking, the whole piece of property, whether it's on lot 1 or lot 2. But we just don't know. I mean, we don't even have a way to say they have to have erosion control around that house.
Well, they're proposing, for the driveway, but.
Yeah, but
I mean,
not for the proposed home. I mean, we don't know what they're gonna have to get into for the septic or.
right, but if that was a lot that already existed and somebody was building a house out there and they stayed outside of the 100, they wouldn't even have to notify us. So
But they
I'm
would have
looking
to do
on lot
stormwater
2.
with planning if it was a certain amount of
Yep.
disturbance.
Yeah, so that part doesn't go away. It's just, I guess I'm not, if they do decide when they lay out a layout for that house, when they come up with a plan for the house, if they get into the 100-foot, then they're gonna have to come back to us. And if the resource or the planning board requires that, if the stormwater bylaw kicks in, which it probably will, if the planning board needs input from the Concom because it's draining towards the well, or if part of the mitigation for the stormwater control gets into the buffer, again, we'd be triggered. So my guess is they would probably try really hard to design something that stays out of the 100. I mean,
Right.
that's what I would want to do, and not
Jeff-
have to come back to Concom.
Okay.
But maybe I'm
no,
oversimplifying it, but that all I was looking for is mitigation for the driveway.
Yeah, Doug, to clarify on that, there aren't any trees coming down for the driveway.
Sorry.
No, but there's regrading in there, and
Yeah.
there's an opportunity there to improve what a portion of a 50-foot buffer that doesn't exist now. So, I'm talking about plantings. You have some proposed along the front there from the replication of the driveway. So something similar to that. That's all I'm saying I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's just a wooded area though, and along the driveway would be.
had to put any more trees in.
I think, Doug,
Doesn't have to go along the driveway. There's opportunity on the site to improve the.
So that's what we talked about at the last meeting, and then we
Okay.
did this revised plan, and we
And
added.
I wasn't here. Gotcha.
Yeah, in
Sorry.
the areas that are green, the areas that were green were just going to be seed mix, and that's really the only area that we can that's like currently disturbed that we can plant trees in the 50-foot buffer. It is in Norwell, but so we added trees there, so there'll be instead of only the seed mix, there'll be 6 shrubs and 5 trees.
I got you. Okay, I apologize. I wasn't here for that, but that you've answered my concern. One curiosity, Jeff, Mr. DeLisi, is why did you have to go to ZBA for this? It's not a 50-foot lot.
It is. I'm struggling to see, but
It's got 117 feet of front, 117 feet of frontage in
Yeah.
Scituate.
yeah, but I at the moment you've caught me at a loss, Doug.
I mean, that's okay. It's not our
The
purview. It's
determination
just
was made at some point, and I forget exactly, what the issue is. Maybe it wasn't a 50-foot frontage lot. Maybe it was just a reconfiguration of the lot lines so as to make one lot fully conforming or something to that effect. I can't quite remember. I was not involved in the zoning hearing.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's a lot width of less than 100, but that would be.
That might be it, actually, because you have to maintain. You can have with the 50-foot frontage lot, we call it 50 feet. That's exactly what it is. We call it 50 feet frontage, but it's frontage and width. So you have to typically would have to maintain 100 feet of frontage from every point between the frontage street and where you're going to put your house. And
Yes,
in this particular case, you can't do that unless you were to double the size of the upland area and create what we call a 50-foot frontage lot, which is a misnomer. It really should be 50 feet and width.
okay. I
So
mean,
that's
well,
what it
I
is.
mean, it's not our purview at all. It's just that it's 5.6 feet shy of 100. You just tweak the corner of that lot line and you wouldn't have had to do that, but whatever.
Doug, sorry, I just looked that up. So the other lot needs 175 feet of width through the house, and we have it right at 175.
That's it.
Yeah. That's why. Thank you.
There you go. And that created the 94.4 width.
Yeah.
Got it. There we go. There's always a reason for something. And I'm sorry to belabor that point. Sometimes my curiosity gets the better of me. So I'll move on. Or you
Okay.
can move on.
Penny, did you already comment?
I'm fine with, I mean, it's just a very convoluted thing. I wish it was all one plan right now with a house, but I understand why it isn't, so I'm okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Brendan?
Yeah, I have nothing, no comments.
Okay. Eric?
Yeah, I don't mean to seem disagreeable. It's just the mitigation issue that we discussed in the last meeting is, I think the collective concern where there's nowhere to put it currently, which is why we're all clamoring for it to be on one proposal. But I do appreciate Mr. DeLisi's suggestion and cooperation relative to having conditions within the orders that would allow us to, review the ongoing potential work, and then perhaps at that point we could have something done. But I just wanted to ask the question earlier relative to the driveway portion, because it seemed like, well, if we could just resolve the situation and the confusion relative to this slim portion of a potential future project, and we could still verify the wetland edge for the other purposes required, then it might simplify things. But as Doug just found out, there's a reason for everything. So that's where I'll leave it.
Okay. Did I miss anybody?
Did Richard speak? I don't know.
I did, and I was okay.
Okay. Do we have
Okay.
anybody in the audience for this one? Okay.
What about you, Mr. Frank?
So I'm still, I get the part that we would have another opportunity to review this with stormwater if they trigger the 15,000 square feet, which would seem kind of likely given the amount of driveway they still have to build and then clearing for
Ah,
yeah, we had asked them to show us where the septic system was, which we didn't, which isn't
Yeah.
shown on this plan.
Hmm.
And I just, I wish we had some sort of policy that we could just say, this is what we want, for replication on trees or, I mean, a lot of this property is in the buffer zone or it's got a significant wetland on it. And Jeff, DeLisi, you're, aside from the, being able to look at it with stormwater, did you have any other?
No, I mean, I look, oftentimes when applicants come before the commission and the commission is struggling to understand how the puzzle pieces fit together, there's always a question of whether an applicant's being truthful or whether something is intentionally being held back. that's not the case here, which is why I'm, not why, it's one of the reasons why I'm more than happy to tell you, feel free to insert a condition about the trees if it's an issue for you and you
Okay.
want to do it. It's not going to get appealed. We're just going to pass it along to a buyer and say, this is now what you have to do.
Okay.
Um,
Well, I think the reason, and again, we're not trying to be difficult either, but we've had enough problems with projects that we condition with a house that's gonna be built by, say someone's bought it and they're conditioning the project, but then they're flipping it to somebody else. So we have
Yeah. Yep.
conditions and orders and all kinds of things, and then someone goes and builds something differently, and then it's a mess. So now we don't even have anything to look at it all. So I think we can do that. I think we don't have to belabor this any longer. We'll come up with something in the orders for that. Jen and Josh can cook something up.
Okay.
All right,
All right. Thank
Can I
you.
make a motion?
we can.
I make a motion to close.
And Jeff, you want this closed before you have that other the A&R, you're okay? You're not coming back with any changes and
If I have to come back, I'll come back for a modification. I'd like the commission to close tonight.
okay. All
I'll
right, so I had a
second it.
motion from Penny and then I had a second from Brendan.
Yes.
All in favor? Richard,
Yes,
Doug,
Yes,
Eric,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
I
everyone.
think that's why the last meeting went so damn long. 280 Central Ave,
They're continuing.
and then they have it here.
continue.
They
They
want to
wanna
continue to
continue
August
to.
5th.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
so I'll make a motion to continue 280 Central to August 5th.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Doug,
yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Thank you. 39 Lighthouse Road.
Jen, if you could promote Brendan Sullivan in.
Okay, Brendan is unmuted or being asked to unmute.
Okay, and I can give you guys a quick update on this, however you want to do
This is the house with the mini skirt.
it.
Yeah,
Yes, that's it. That's it.
no skirt.
All right.
Basically, this property is not in a velocity zone, okay? And right now we have a foundation, an old concrete foundation holding up the house. The concept is to raise and reconstruct, to remove the foundation, remove significant impediment of stormwater, etc. Bring the property outside of the flood zone, or at least the structure. And so the issue really, the two questions that, obviously it's a very good project for Scituate. And so the two issues that we kind of landed on that we were talking about, one was a concrete pad in the area of the existing garage. And it was on the plan to be kind of stay there, but you expressed an issue, or at least a desire for it to be removed. We looked at that. We've filed a plan that removes that. There was a significant discussion. Penny left no bones about the fact she doesn't like lattice or whatever, or a skirt around the house. We looked into this, all right, and the homeowner is very, feels very strongly that this project is exactly the type of project that you want to see in Scituate. Driving around Lighthouse Road, everywhere you look, you see not necessarily lattice, but the slats with the spacing in between them. Oftentimes these slats go down to the grade, all right? The issue was make sure that there's no impediment should there be water moving underneath the house even though we're not in a velocity zone. And so what we've decided to do is ask the board, hopefully to give us some credit for what we're doing here and the positives of this project. The homeowners would like to make sure that they kind of contain, you know, there are many reasons, you know, theft and everything else, why people would want this. It's consistent with the neighborhood. You don't yet have a policy. And so we're asking the commission, hopefully, what Brendan has done now is that the concept of lattice has been, you know, abandoned. They went over, they talked to the building department. Building department told us that in the FEMA's in the velocity zone, and again, we're not. You know, they gave us some guidance on how to do this and meet the code. So we've now put that on the plan. And which basically is what we're proposing is a 40% open area of the slats. And then to stop to stop it 1 foot above the grade so that there's some area for flow, etc. And that's my plea. It's really a plea to you to try and look at this as a very, very much a net positive here in the removal of a concrete wall. And hopefully approve what we're now proposing, which is the slats scenario, limiting it to 12 inches off the ground and making sure that there's 40% spacing. And that's it.
Jeff, before I pass this off to Jen and whatever, just can you clarify 2 things for me? You just said that, and we should be able to see it on the plan, but this is not in the V zone. So
Correct.
that A, number 1. And then B, you're proposing to remove all the concrete under the,
Yes, and we're hoping to get some credit for that. The concrete, which is the garage pad, and you know what? I'm gonna let Brendan speak to that. I don't want to misspeak. So Brendan, tell me what you're removing.
Yeah, it's just over 300 square feet of the concrete pad that was in where the old garage was.
And that's all of the concrete, right, Brendan?
Yes, under the dwelling, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the answer is yes, Frank.
so
Yeah.
then there'll be a brick paver parking and a deck and whatnot.
To the right.
But there won't be any more concrete under this house or around it. The surface to park on is pavers, and everything else is lawn or earth or.
Sand.
I think there's gravel around the side and in
or
front of
gravel.
yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. Those are the 2 things I just wanted to be sure we were clear on. Thank you. All right. Jen.
The space that's labeled garage, that's just like
That's
it's
the
an area that's
existing
up on
garage.
piles, and then I mean, you can drive under it, what have you, but it's level. That 5.6, I wanted to make sure there wasn't anything else going on there. That's just the ground level, the actual ground level, not the first floor or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean that's labeled garage because the way the house is laid out now is
Sure,
that's
sure.
a garage.
Okay.
But it's so now essentially the new home will subsume a large portion of the garage or all of it, I guess. But it's not going to be utilized as a garage. It'll be elevated just like the remainder of the house. So the house foundation is shaded in brown. There's no garage being proposed. It won't be closed in or anything like that.
Okay. Just so that 5.6 is that's just the elevation that's there.
Brendan.
Where do you see 5.6?
Right below the word
Right below the
garage,
word, yeah.
it's kind of shaded out, but it
Oh,
says
yes,
first.
yep, that's the existing grade at the garage level, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else, Jen?
No, it's great that it's going up on piles.
Richard?
I'll try to give the short version. I like his proposal. If you want a longer version, ask me after you've asked everybody else.
Okay. Doug?
Yeah, I'm okay. I appreciate the the point that, you know, I would gather to bet, in my observation, that there's more houses out there with skirting than with not.
I
Mhm.
know.
In a matter of like, I'm always concerned with consistency of what we do in policy. And it kind of almost feels like if we want, and I also understand like why we don't want skirting, because the water comes down during a regular flood anyways, breaks up the skirting, goes washing out into the pond. But it's almost feels like if we were going to do that, that we were going to have to establish a new policy and say, you know, from this date forward, no more skirting will be allowed. And we haven't done that.
No, we
Um,
need to.
and it just doesn't seem fair to one applicant. So I think leaving it up a foot is doing more than most of the other skirted houses there have done. Most of them go to all the way to the ground. So I think
Most of them are 2 inches or more or less.
Yeah,
yeah, and they're, you know, so I think what they're proposing is reasonable, and I think it's a fair compromise. Given that concern, it'll help water go through there, mostly the foot. You know, even that's a little subjective, because even in a, you know, a regular flood, how high does it go? We don't really have data that's going to support that. We have videos from neighbors and things like that that show the water really making its way across Lighthouse Road at a lot of velocity. But
well, if FEMA thinks that the house needs to be elevated to 16.
yes,
then
yeah, no, and I agree with that. But the skirting part I'm talking about, really.
Right.
So a foot above seems like a reasonable amount, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So I'm all that to say, because I
Thank you.
didn't do the short version, but I'm
Well,
good with it.
it's been well contemplated. Penny, did I ask you what you thought?
No. Do you want to
ahead.
know? Okay, I can go along with a foot, but we have somebody that's looking for a CSC tonight. And what they've done is they put the skirting in a foot off the ground, then they put concrete between that foot. No, no, no. And if it gets sand up against there, they have to go out and remove it. At all times, there has to be a foot of clearance, okay? So I'm telling you, we're gonna get a big storm. I don't know when, but when we get a big one out there, I don't care where you live, the whole place gets just water just going everywhere. But I can live with it. We do have to make a policy. We've got to do that in the very, very near future, sit down and get some policies in place. But I don't want to go out there and see a board or concrete or something in that foot area, okay, between the bottom of the skirting and the sand. And if the sand builds up, it's up to them to go clear it out.
Josh is going to put that right into the minutes.
Yeah,
Wait.
I could not agree more with that, Penny.
Okay.
My phone's already blowing up saying, of course, why on earth would we do that? So put the conditions in however you want to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Brendan?
Brandon went to sleep.
Oh, I don't,
He's
No,
There he
I
is.
There
didn't
he's
go to
muted. There
sleep.
he is. There he is.
I just had the wrong application selected when I hit that. But anyway. I can go along with the with the group here. I don't think just because something exists on other houses that
No.
or you know that something exists currently that it shouldn't be changed. I think it needs to be changed. I think we need to get a policy. I'm not for the skirting. I think we've heard here that so far the majority is going to accept it. So, yeah, I don't know, when it breaks in a storm, do they get to just put it back, or do people have to come back and ask for it to put it back, or whatnot? They're just gonna, yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I don't think it should exist.
Okay. Eric?
Um, yeah, ultimately, I think, as everyone else has mentioned, we need a policy specific to uh, skirts under these elevated houses. I do want to identify that it is a huge win for the town to have this structure no longer be at grade and have it be raised. But like Brendan, I also do not believe that just because something is happening elsewhere means that it has to happen everywhere. But in that same breath, I don't believe that without a policy, we have too much to stand on relative to this one applicant. There are other issues associated with the lattice work that concern me generally, not just on this property, but potentially on this property. It does provide, as everyone else has already said, projectiles that could go off and cause other damage during storm events, but it also blocks potentially what is being stored behind said skirt, whether that's fuel that shouldn't be there or otherwise. There are other concerns to this skirt material being up that concern me as it relates to protecting the resource areas on either side of Lighthouse and Rebecca Road. So, and within, given the marsh in the middle, but I think ultimately we're going to have to find ourselves in a position where the reasonable compromises proposed by the applicant, are something that we're going to have to, really consider as a positive. And I think that'll end my rant there.
Okay, thank you.
Frank,
Yes, Richard.
just wanted to reiterate one thing that Jeff said is this is a little different in that it's out of the velocity zone.
Right. That's what I made that clear in the beginning, because it's not going to get maybe as much water running through
Correct.
as
Correct. And I think that makes a bit of a difference.
agreed.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Do we have
and I-
anybody in the audience? Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any, Penny, did you want to?
Yeah, no, Eric made me remember, in years past, when we've had people raise up and they put the skirting on, blah, blah, blah. We did stipulate that nothing combustible, gas, this, that can be stored underneath these houses,
Right.
so I think that needs to go somehow in the orders that, yeah, I know we've done that in the past. We used to do it all the time down Hammerock when there was a lot of raise and rebuild going on.
So,
That you can't store anything that could explode or pollute
Okay.
underneath, okay?
yeah, Josh is just saying that, some of that standard orders. So, okay. Do we have, thanks, Penny. Do we have anybody in the audience?
No.
Okay. So just the other complication for some of these things is, we have jurisdiction over this. The building department also has rules and regulations that they try to work with when it comes to FEMA. And there's guidelines on things like the foundation and the skirting and things like that. And a lot of these folks try to work towards those guidelines. And we try to make them all mesh, but they don't always do that. And the state had put together a matrix trying to maybe make it easier for folks to be able to do their projects and comply with everyone. This, I believe the building code actually allows for skirting with the correct spacing and securing it correctly to the building. So, it gets frustrating sometimes for folks trying to move forward when they think they're in compliance with a code, and then we have something different. And that's not, our purviews our concerns are somewhat different, but it is a process that hopefully when we think about a policy, we can continue to work with the other requirements that they have to face with other departments, so that we don't make it harder for somebody to do something than is necessary, because we are hopeful to see these houses get put up in the air. And
Oh, yeah.
the other part that's been frustrating is that we have allowed skirting, and then people have gone on to like totally seal it up and then almost make storage or something down there, which we've gotten a couple of places
Yeah.
that is kind of, it was very frustrating. So I think if we have these pieces in there, I personally think we can work with that. Okay, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
All right.
I just want the homeowner to work with us, okay?
Well, it seems like they've
Yeah, no, it does, and I hope it continues.
okay. All right.
So
Can
we would
have-
put that in the orders in
Yes.
perpetuity, that there needs to be 12-inch clearing at the bottom
40%.
and 40% and no storage, really, you know,
Yeah.
definitely no storage of any.
The only thing they have to remember with some of these is if they have a propane, well, they can have natural gas, so I don't think that's
Yeah.
gonna be an issue. Okay,
Yeah, okay. Well, you just never know, and we don't want an explosion down there. Anyways, I make a motion to close? Yes?
You can close an issue.
And
I
we
mean,
can-
you,
we
you
can
saw
add
a
those
draft of
conditions.
the orders. We'll just
Yes,
update them with what we spoke about.
okay.
so we have a motion from Penny. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
From Eric? All in favor, Richard?
Richard's gone to bed too.
It's just so far away.
Oh,
He's waving, but
his
we're not
arm.
hearing. Something's wrong.
Can you give us a thumbs up?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
there you
giving
go.
us
There we go.
everything.
We're all witness to,
A thumbs up. All right, Doug,
yes,
Penny, you made the motion.
Yeah.
Brendan? He was- And Eric?
A second.
Oh, you did, sorry. And Frank, yes. Okay, thank you.
Very
Thank
much appreciated, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.
And make some glue out of that horse.
Okay.
All right, so 31 Surfside's next, and that we need to open.
I do. On July 22nd, 2024, 6 p.m., the Scituate Conservation Commission can hold a wetland hearing under chapter 131, section 4 of the Massachusetts General Laws, section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws, for after the fact request for determination of applicability filed by Stephen O'Neill for utility access at location 31 Surfside Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information access the meetings available on the agenda. And
Okay,
who do
so
we
this,
have?
we have the owner, Stephen O'Neill, is on the call. He's unmuted. They had a trench for the utility connection while they were renovating their home. So they didn't have a permit for that. So when we saw the trench, we asked them to file an after the fact. I also asked anything else he thought he might be doing in that, kind of similar thing to include. So the trenching for the generator has not been done yet. So that would be something in the future.
So he wants us to look at that.
Yes. And I'll let him, talk about timing and, whether the utility trenches, all of that utility connection is done.
Okay.
Yeah, hi. So I was unaware that I had to apply for this, so sorry about that. But the utilities did do the work. They moved a natural gas meter out from under the existing deck and set a pole for the electrical service. So that's what the trenching was about. And I requested permission to put in a generator. The location for the generator is basically the only place that it could go on the property because, as you can see on the right side, it's tight and we're in the setbacks. It would not fit on the decks. We went by guidance from the building department about putting it on combustible surface and how much the clearance away from windows and wooden structures. So where I would place it is down near the garage. It would be about between 5 and 8 feet above grade, but it has to have access for maintenance. So it can't be too high. But that is what I requested permission for.
And we, I don't think we have any platform information for the generator.
Yeah, I could send you something.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen them about 3 or 4 feet up off the ground. Down by
Or
It's a FEMA AE 14, so it needs to be first floor level is my understanding.
oh, that high.
You can talk to building on what the height is, but the footings in the ground for the platform, we would
Oh.
want to know that location. This is all also barrier beach where, waterfront. So anything in the ground on this site, you should call conservation first.
Yeah,
Kinda
where
I'm
where it would go,
surprised.
there's where it would be located, there's existing cement walkways. So it'd just be a structure in that area. And as I said, there's really not a lot of options for where it would be located. And we did consult with the building department, the electrical inspector. So that was the guidance we got from them. Mainly about keeping it away from, because it's a natural gas generator and it has exhaust. So you got to keep it away from open windows and it's got to be accessible for maintenance.
Right.
And it cannot be on combustible materials. So it would sit on a stone
Right.
platform.
Okay, well, maybe we tackle that at a different time. I'm not sure. I feel like people build them on platforms up.
Yeah, it's elevated. It would be
Okay.
elevated.
How
Okay.
high about Mr. O'Neill do you think it's going to be above the ground?
I think it's roughly 5 feet because you got to consider it's about 29 inches tall. And to get access to the panels to do maintenance on it, which is every 6 months, they got to check the oil and all that. So, the panels open up and outward. So it'd be, the platform is about 5 feet, will be about 5 feet tall. And then the generator sits on top of stone. On top of that, the stone's about 3 inches thick.
Okay, I mean, I've seen some that's more like a framework or something where, it's posts and a platform and the generator is sitting, it's a decent amount in the air to not get flooded.
On either side of us, so consistent with the neighborhood, there's one that sits up about 2 feet, and then there's another one that's about, I'd say about 4 feet.
But
So
I don't
that's on
know if
either
those
side.
homes are elevated though. So I don't know when that work was done. I'm just giving
the
you the
one-
heads
the
up
one-
that this would need to be, according to the building inspector, it's got to be high.
Yeah, understood.
Okay.
The one to the left was done during COVID, and the one to my right is about 2 feet off the ground in the lawn. Not sure when that was done.
You want to do it right so you're safe.
Oh, absolutely. I've got a disabled kid, and that's
Well,
important to me,
that's
that it's a
what's
safe
most
area
important.
and that we have electricity so that she can
Yeah.
use her devices to communicate and have Wi-Fi. So
So
since I've been
you
down there, the
wanna be
power's gone
safe.
out at least 3 times.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's it's too bad the utilities, usually they'll make application to us when they dig, but
They said they did. They told me that they did, but they have a source and.
They might have talked to other departments. You're right. They do normally come to us and, and initiate all of that. So any open trenches should be closed that day. They shouldn't be open day to day in this kind of area.
it's a little hard, Jen, I think they have to have a little leeway because sometimes they have to be inspected. So depending on what time they finish the trenching, then they have to put in sand, they have to put in conduit, and then they have to make sure the wire inspected. So to tell them to have it closed all on the same day.
Okay.
I think
It's
maybe
got to be
more.
soon, though.
Yeah,
It's all closed up now. Everything's,
you're done anyways, right? This
Yeah.
Well,
is
they've
after
done the
fact.
utility part. The
Yes, it's
generator is
all done.
coming.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. Well, that's a good point, but you get the gist of it. We just don't want to have situation where things are opened up and then we get a storm and all the silt gets washed away.
Yeah, understood. Plus, I'm in a fishbowl down there. It seems that people are very interested in my property, you know.
Oh,
Jeez.
yeah.
All right, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. So, Richard,
I don't have any additional questions. I'm glad he's gone ahead now and prepared for the generator.
Yeah.
Although I think we need some more specific about what he expects to do rather than just in general.
I'll send you a plan. I'll
Yep,
send you
there
a,
you
a
go.
drawing of it.
Yep.
thank you. Doug,
Yeah, no, I'm good. Good. This is just an RDA, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or-
Just, yeah, an RDA just to do the trench work for the connections.
yeah, I'm good with it. Yep.
Penny, you already commented, right?
Yeah, yes.
Brendan,
Yeah, I'm good.
okay, Eric,
Yeah, I'm good. I just with the trench situation, if to your point, Frank, you know, with inspections and everything else, you know, depending on when they finish, I think the biggest thing is just to make sure that it's at least covered, you know, if
Yep.
not, you know.
So you put a top or something over it.
No, I mean like plywood or something to cover it so it's not a hazard. But I got nothing else.
okay. That's everybody, right?
Yeah, so what are we gonna do? A -3, Jen?
Yes, and we'll, yes, and with expecting some more details about the platform, if you will, for the generator.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so do you want a motion, Frank?
Yes, please.
I make a motion for a -3.
What does that mean? Negative.
Yes.
-3 is
That's
good. It
good.
means that you don't have to go forward. It's
All right,
With the-
great.
a
I'm not used
positive,
to
a
this stuff.
positive determination would be bad. So you,
Okay,
that's
Don't
the,
want that.
that's the decision you want to hear.
awesome.
Thank you. So that's Penny. Do I have a second?
I'll second
I'll
that,
s-
Brendan.
All in favor, Richard,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. All right, good luck and hopefully you can get everything pulled together.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
Okay.
Do we need to reschedule Oliver Street?
No,
Okay.
we,
Yes,
Well-
we are, there was an issue with the legal ad, so we
But we
will,
didn't open it, so,
no, we're not, we're just gonna re-advertise it and we'll open it then. So most likely August 5th.
It'll be advertised for, it is being advertised for August 5th. But I'll keep everybody updated if the legal ad gets out in time.
yeah.
great. Thank you. So administrative items, minor modification request 37 Collier.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to go visit the site to see where they want to add some more pavers across the front of the lot, on the street side of the lot, on the street side of that wall that's goes across the front.
I don't think we want to do anything with that, Jen, until we have a chance to meet there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I just wanted to keep it on the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, orders of conditions.
Yes, we've got the 3A improvements on here, and I would include the time of year that was mentioned in the email that had come from one of the letters. 15 Musquashkett was the addition, and then I'll let you guys decide on 181 Edward Foster.
Well,
So,
let's get the first two out of the way, Frank, and then we
okay,
can. I make a motion, we accept the orders of condition for Route 3A improvement in 15 Musquashkett Ave as written.
the motion from Penny, do a second.
I'll second that.
That's
Brendan?
from Brendan. All in favor, Richard,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Great. 181 Edward Foster Road. So Jen and I have been having, or Jen has had correspondence with the applicant's attorney trying to come to some resolution with this, and it's back and forth, and we're hopeful to have a meeting this week. So we're not going to vote this tonight, but I think it's important for us to get a sense of what the commission members expect or think that they should see there. And I'd like to not make it too long, but I think I'd like to touch with each one of you if you have an opinion on what ought to happen there or what you're going to find acceptable, so we can move this along. I think that's the best way to go. Jen, do you want to add anything to that?
No, thank you.
So Richard,
Well,
and this has more to do, I think we've been kind of pretty good with the drainage part and stuff. I think the issues have come up more about what was what our expectations had been from before. What was some of the other things, but the whole site is open to comment right now.
Honestly, my general comment is that it almost seems like there's so much that they don't want to talk about, that they don't want to open, that it leaves us wondering, well, what's next? That bothers me, but I'm not sure what we can do about it, because it's what's next. It's in some ways similar to what we had on the Norwell Scituate line. We don't know what's next. We know what we think is going to happen. We're suspicious in some ways. To you, it's probably a bad word. I'm really suspicious about this. They have pushed the envelope on every single thing. I know from a legal standpoint, there's a lot of things you got to watch out for. I'm just leery of the whole friggin' thing. And so, yeah, I suppose I do like the idea of sitting down and seeing if you can work a deal that everybody is at least reasonably comfortable with, and maybe also address of, you better hadn't come back to us with something more, sort of thing.
Okay.
I guess that's my way of saying I'm not real happy.
I think the general tone is there.
Okay.
All right. I'd like to say, maybe rather than make a deal, that we're going to try to work out a resolution.
Yep.
Doug?
Well, I have to be honest, I skimmed through these orders or in the letter from the attorney, but I hadn't really sat with the plan and everything else and tried to digest this completely. So I'm kind of narrowing in on Jen's email. It says condition number 38 is what she was the most concerned about. Is that still what we're mostly talking about?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes. Yeah, his letter, he put a suggestion in there, which that's that suggestion of some other work in other locations. Right, that would be one question, would be your thoughts on that condition and it being part of the orders or being a separate thing, like some sort of enforcement order. But either way, good to start with hearing what you'd like to see out of this.
So, and this is for the maintenance
of the restoration area, that we were trying to put something together that came to a resolution for that area.
Doug, this goes back to before you were even on the board.
Yeah,
restoration area,
I
okay?
remember there's some history here.
Big time.
But there's an objection already from having a maintenance plan for the because it's the removal of Phragmites is the management plan, and that was
that's what they had orders for in the past, and those have been closed out.
Okay.
With certificate of compliances.
Okay.
With no continuing conditions.
Okay.
And now it's a grass area.
So, okay, Penny?
Yeah, well, you know my feeling, Frank. I just really I don't have a problem with what they want to do now. My problem is that we are giving somebody permission to do another project when I feel as though a project years ago, the restoration area was never taken care of properly. It's manicured lawn. It shouldn't be manicured lawn. They say everything died. Fine, then the last I knew, mow it once a year, that restoration area. And it's being manicured lawn, so I would just like that resolved before I let them go forward with another project, which I really don't have a problem with. So,
So Penny, help, and I apologize, I haven't gotten this thing dissected yet, but so the issue is that the area that had
the restoration area
the
that
rest-
it's supposed to do,
and it is now just part of the lawn,
it is a manicured lawn.
and
Being mowed
we are we asking them, or are we wishing that they would go back and make some modifications to that, or are we just saying like in the future, this is how we want you to maintain?
well, they were already told and then they didn't maintain. So yes, that's what I want. I want the restoration area to be a restoration area. It is not supposed to be manicured lawn. It is supposed to be restoration. They quote unquote planted some plants and they died after 2 years. And then they got a manicured lawn there.
Is the argument against that from the attorney that that was not this?
No, so here's where we're at.
Yeah.
There's a folder or folders that are really thick with back and forth out of how to deal with the mitigation in this area, and letters and all kinds of correspondence with them trying to come up with some resolution. They did multiple plantings, couldn't get them to grow. Couldn't leave it alone because the Phragmites would come back up. And so we've got some disagreements on exactly what should happen there. There's something that we have to hammer out. And when we were talking about this, we were thinking about incorporating that, dealing with that area in this set of orders. We were advised from DEP that that you really shouldn't do that, that's another issue. And if we feel like they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, then we have to have an enforcement order and go after them on that. But however, it kind of smacks a little bit of like, so someone gets a set of orders, they're told what to do. It's really not fair to say that they didn't do anything, because they did do some things, but what's theirs now is not what we conditioned. So now they want to do something else, but we have an area that we don't feel is in compliance.
I get you. Okay.
So that's sort of the short of it.
Yeah. So all right.
So what we need to do, what a few of us, to not make it too complicated, need to do is get together with the attorney and see what we can resolve in this, so that they would like to not have this something put in there that they feel is wrong, then they have to appeal it, and then another whole season goes by while this goes through all this process. They feel like they've got a leg to stand on, and that ultimately they would prevail if they appealed it. I don't think they're wrong about that, but we're still faced with the issue that we don't feel like what we've done in the past has been complied with. So that's what we're trying to hammer out. And I think if you guys gals can just say, that that's what you want us to work towards, maybe we can craft something that at the end we can come with a resolution. And I want to hear just from all of you that where you stand with this, so that we don't come together with some set of orders that then you say, no, I don't want to vote for that. We wanted them to do this thing from the get-go. So that's where we're.
Gotcha. Okay, thank
All
you.
right. Brendan,
Yeah, so um I don't know where to start. I guess as far as what they're planning on doing, I guess I don't have an issue with that. I am skeptical about this. Um Honestly, I'm skeptical about what, plans that come out of this for this property in general. I don't know why I'm kind of stuck on it. And I've been looking through the history of the property and I went out there, but uh, there is, as far as I can tell, quite an enormous amount of fill that was brought into that property from March of 2021 to April of 22. And I guess unless someone here can tell me I'm wrong, that was all green lighted to raise their lawn around their home, that it's completely unaddressed in any plan that they've given us that I saw. Yeah, that's really that's sticking with me. Yeah, I've got a real problem with that. As far as this condition 38, I sent an email to Jen and it said that I would agree not to include it in the in these orders and to deal with it as an enforcement issue. I know I wasn't part of I wasn't a member of the commission when this was initially discussed, or that whole thing was done, but I find it really hard to believe that was intended by anybody to be well manicured lawn. I think that should only be mowed. I think it was mentioned in the attorney's letter to keep the Phragmites at bay, and whatever the minimum to do that is what it should be mowed, and not the beautiful pristine lawn that it currently is.
Brendan, can you give me the date again on when the
Yeah,
fill that
so
was
the
added?
fill was added. There were two parts to it. If you look at your near map, um, between March 2021 and April 2022, fill was added and sod was placed down on that to raise the grade above around the house, which was wet, but now is not. It's lovely lawn. I had been out there with Amy, and that was mentioned, and she had said that that should be included as in whatever he was planning on doing as an after the fact. That has never come before us that I know of, and they clearly don't. Since Amy has moved on, they don't want to talk about it because that's going to require I would think is some mitigation, or maybe that we say no, they have to take it out. And I'm not, I wouldn't disagree with that either, but they're just trying to gloss over it as far as I can tell,
Okay.
my opinion.
All right. And then we have the issue of the mitigation that isn't working the way we anticipated it
Right.
to be.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I can't imagine that
Yep.
anybody said that you can keep a well manicured lawn there.
It's kind of convoluted what went back and forth, but I agree with you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Eric?
Yeah, I think unlike other members, I do have some regret as it relates to our initial review of the stormwater system itself. I wish that there was more attention paid, at least on my end. I was caught up in the prior mitigation planting area that we're all discussing. But if the intent here was genuine, which I'm sure it is, to redirect and infiltrate stormwater flow back into the groundwater table, then I would have contended with this system. I would have asked, why aren't we doing any plantings of any kind? Because for infiltration and uptake, plant material is required, and the for example, the roots of, you know, your beach grass or switchgrass or something like that will go down 8, 12 feet, which is going to increase infiltration dramatically. And then on top of that, you get the compounding effect of water uptake just because that's what those roots are doing, right? So I would have definitely focused more on the construction design of that
French.
that system. But then to further, you know, the point on what they're doing, you know, at least from the letter that was sent, in terms of proposing a secondary mitigation area for the drainage project, I'm not sure what that acknowledges, why they're now presenting a mitigation plan for this drainage project. They seemed adamant against that to begin with. However, there is that stipulation in there where they would like to bring in fill material, adding to Brendan's prior concerns that it's pretty apparent that something was done on grade, and certainly sod was added just looking at the near map. When we're planting coastal approved landscape plants, the idea is that they're native plants and that they will integrate themselves into the existing landscape, meaning the existing soil profile, not to bring in new fill so that they can survive better. They're indigenous to a dune environment, which means that if you bring in fill and you try and add nutrients that they're otherwise not suited for, they will underperform, not perform better. So I do have issue with that, and I don't know if that means that there are ulterior motives associated with the suggestion of bringing in fill. I don't know. I don't know what, you know, the scope of that fill suggestion would have meant regarding grading, or what the future plans of that site would have been beyond whatever plantings they have here. So I'm glad that we're probably not touching that with a 10-foot pole at this moment, but I do think condition 38 should be an enforcement issue, because I do think that we have the ability to play with that a little bit better as a standalone item rather than as a condition. I might be wrong on that, but it seems like it might fit, you know, better as a enforcement rather than the order. I
Okay.
guess that's my long-winded thoughts on the project.
No, I think all of this is helpful. I mean, we've got to try to work towards some solution here. Or at least some
Something.
discussion. Okay. Anybody else want to add anything on that one?
No.
Okay.
Now we got the CSCs, Jen.
Okay, the C of Cs, I'm good with 56 Peggotty Beach. I'm good with 49 Collier Road. I asked them for a couple extra things and they sent them in. 8 Peggotty Beach Road. I mean, I'm good with that one also. I would say I think sometimes people give us an as-built that served a purpose in a different department, but it isn't what we're looking for now. That this project happened to be from about 22, 23 years ago. So, but anyways, that was my only concern with that one. Was it was an as-built to get their occupancy, not an as-built with like resource information on it. And I think I had another one I wanted to add to that list, maybe. Another certificate of compliance request that came in was for 10 Alden.
Yeah.
And that one I do not want to issue, and I did send an email to the engineer showing the difference in what it looked like when they applied and then what it looks like today, of the lattice going all the way to the ground when there wasn't lattice when they applied for the CFC, and then, you know, having that edging around it so you're blocking any flow in addition to the curb put on the one side.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about earlier. Yeah.
Okay, and then the same thing, 36 and 36 Rear Bailey's Causeway, they were asking also. So you know, they've sent some planting updates and planting reports, which we also needed. But my question to them was, is their skirting under those houses compliant?
Good.
So I'll wait for an answer.
Okay.
And I think we need to take a ride down there, because the last time I drove by, the plantings were not done and the post and rail fence was not up. The plantings on the marsh side were done or on that berm, but between the first house, all right, on the street, that and the berm, that was all supposed to be planted. And there was supposed to be a post and rail fence. We were out there, Frank, with Jeff Morse a few years ago.
I don't know.
Craig Morse,
Are
I'm
there
sorry.
are there two separate orders there?
They're two separate orders.
Okay, so I'm just wondering if one if one's in compliance and one isn't, or if they're both not in compliance.
Well, the question stands for both of them regarding the
Okay.
skirting. They did send a lot of planting updates, but happy to go see the site so we can
Okay.
see these plantings.
Well, maybe that's like the better thing to do there, because I'm just wondering, you know, we're talking, I think this problem with the skirting's in the house that's to the front, unless I missed something in the rear, but
Well, we
but
were
The one in the
focused
rear
on the
has
front.
skirting also.
it does, but I'm
It
not
has
sure
some
that it
skirting.
was closed in as the one in the front has.
Okay.
May I interject here?
Yes.
So I'm referring specifically to Alden Street, but not only to Alden Street. You know, that was conditioned 4 years ago, and 4 years ago we were not as adamant about skirting as we are now. So it's hard to really criticize them for doing that. I am more concerned of what they put on the bottom, though. That's different, because we used to ask for like a couple of inches or 4 inches of spacing on the bottom if they did lettuce. And then it's changed over the years. Well, I don't think we can call them out and say, well, we changed the rules since we gave you the conditions.
Yeah.
It's more, Richard. I think what I've seen with some of them is people have gone back and totally closed it up. They're
Absolutely
built
right. Absolutely.
and that's not what I don't
Right.
care.
I
We
agree.
never conditioned that.
No, but the
Okay.
lattice, we've changed the rules.
Yeah.
And I think that's a point of condition for many people right now, as we referred earlier.
Yep.
You know, they see it in the neighborhood and they say, what's wrong? And
Right.
you know, it's an issue we do have to deal with.
Okay.
I told them to check with building and make sure it was good with them.
Yep.
I do think there's some requirements from, because those were conditioned before we mentioned skirting under homes,
That's
but
right.
that still building
It's a concern.
has
It's a
rules
big
for it.
concern.
Wait a minute. When those houses on Billy's Causeway were built, as soon as they put up the skirting, we went right down there. Greg Morse, I keep saying Jeff, that's his father. Greg Morse was there, and we said, it was closed in right from the get-go. There has to be space for water to go through. So that isn't something new. It was right from the get-go. We told those people the plantings weren't done and that skirting was wrong. So this is not something new to them down at 36 Bailey.
Penny, you're right. I was specifically speaking to Alden, which was 4 years ago. You're
Yeah.
right about Bailey's Causeway.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. So for 10 Alden, the orders don't say you can't have it,
They say
No,
we'd
I
rather not.
understand that.
Yeah.
but it wasn't on the photos when they submitted it, and now it is. So that's
correct.
different. And I don't think I don't think a granite curb is okay.
That's my objection, not the skirting.
That needs to be removed.
Yep.
And the skirting is an observation.
That's right.
Yeah.
There is something subversive though about submitting photos of a site for a COC and then going ahead and changing what the situation is. Like
Yes, there
that
is. That's
that
correct,
is
Eric.
Like, that's the problem. Like, I think, I mean, it would be one thing if the photos lined up with what reality was, but given that the fact that they submitted those photos before they finished what they intended to do, that just doesn't sit right.
Well, the ones that really know what they're doing, get it finished, get a certificate, and then go on their way.
Way and do whatever they want. Eric, it is a
You're-
battle.
Well, that brings us to enforcement and 109 River Street. I did get a letter from a lawyer about that one from somebody else. It's another one where things changed on the site after the CFC. And so they want a
Okay.
formal answer, but I'll send all that out for the next meeting.
109 River has been a problem for as long as I've been on the commission, which is
Yeah.
what, 12 years now. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. We're getting close to 8 o'clock.
Yep.
Can I just, I'd like to do something. We really had so are we good with enough of these for tonight, Jen?
Oh, just the minutes. Let me do the minutes,
Yes,
Frank.
please.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes of 3:18 and 7:1 as written.
I
We're,
second
we're
that.
voting on one for March.
yeah, I was wondering about that. What
We
Well-
have
happened?
had to do some catch up.
Oh, okay.
Josh is
Come
getting
on,
us
Be
there.
nice.
All
Oh,
right.
good.
I second that, Brendan.
Okay.
Thank you, Brenda.
All right. Just that's fine with me. I don't know. Penny's been chomping at the bit to read them, so whatever you guys can
Well,
work.
I don't.
And I
want
agree.
to Forget them, because I
Alright.
know Jen wants to,
So we got a motion to accept those.
And a
yeah.
We have a
second.
second from Richard. All in
Oh, no, the
favor?
second was from somebody else, but I agree with
Who's
him.
Brendan?
It's Brendan. All right. So all in favor, Richard
Yep.
and Doug
Yep.
and Eric.
Yep.
And Frank, yes. Great. Thank you. Thanks for winding your way back there.
Now you can speak, Frank. I'm sorry,
No,
but I know she wanted those done.
I'm Penny, I would never want to talk over you.
No.
So we really
Wise
I
guy.
thought it was nice to get together a while back at Mount Hope and just chat and whatnot. But I'd like to
We have to have a
see
word.
if we can have a meeting that maybe we can talk more about policy and projects. Jen and Josh are making great strides in getting the wheels back on the rail. And I think it might be a good time if we can, maybe Jen can think about some timing. We'll put something out to you folks and see if we can't have a working meeting with some of that. If we try to do it at a regular meeting, it just gets lost. And we'll try to put a good agenda together with maybe some points, give all of you a chance to think about it. And then we'll get together and see if we can't hammer some things out, because we do want to have a policy. Penny brought up the one about Mordecai Lincoln. We want to make sure we have a policy there on that property. And there's just stuff that we need to do some housekeeping on. And then there's some things that are more important. Josh got out some requests on brook studies, and we're swinging our way back to open space issues. So if you agree, we'll try to see if we can put some times out. I don't know if it's better to wait until you've enjoyed the summer, or you think you want to do it during the summer. You can
Whenever we can schedule it.
give us some input.
Frank?
Yes, Penny.
Yeah, could I just say that I think what might be good is to, like have 2 or 3 meetings over the fall, or even start now, whatever. But just, okay, this meeting, we're gonna focus on 1, 2, 3 for policies. The next one, instead of trying to do a whole bunch and then we'll get nothing done, I'm afraid.
All right, well, why don't we put together what our concerns are? We'll try to
Okay.
get a rough draft out, then all of you can add to it, or
Prioritize it.
yep.
a little
But
bit.
also put your own in. You may have some
Right.
things that we're not thinking about. And
Exactly. But
Okay.
I think if we try to do too much at once, we're not gonna get anything done.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll send
you know
I'll
what I'm
send a couple
saying?
dates out.
Yeah,
okay, yep, and we'll start to work on a list.
right.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
That sounds great. Can
and
I add
can-
one open space thing?
Sure.
The Driftway project to clean the tables, she was hoping to do that
Oh.
either the last week of July or the first week of August. So
Yes.
we're got to coordinate getting her a key to get in there, but I just
So-
wanted to let you know she was hoping to do that.
Jen, what
What is
sort of
the
what
key?
sort of precipitated this? Paul Scott and I had a chance to walk the Driftway Park on Saturday. Just because we're trying to put together some sort of either an RFP or at least come up with a scope of work. We really need to clean up some of the trails and whatnot. So I had a really good chance looking at the benches. It would be fun to see what some of them look like cleaned up. I gotta believe the DPW has a key because there's trash receptacle inside the gate. So
What's
hopefully
the key for, Frank?
to open the gate to drive into the
Oh, for her to drive in. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, all right.
So we had some keys piled up in the office, but I have no clue, but I'm going to assume that the DPW has a key to that gate. And maybe we can reach out to Mike or to
Oh, that's a good idea. I
or
think
maybe
I didn't.
Kim over at DPW and just ask her who has that.
So she can get in and get going.
Yep.
I
And
think-
then there was also the question of whether she could get more water. And I don't know why we can't ask that she could just go up to the golf course, but I'm not quite sure who that person is that is in charge of the golf course now. But maybe we can ask.
Yep.
All right. But it would be interesting. At first I was kind of like, those things are ugly and whatever, but they're really pretty practical. And I think with some work there that it could look better, and it would be interesting to see what she did with one or two of them. So, yep. I
Good.
think we can figure that out.
Sounds good.
Anything else? Oh, yep, that's it for me.
No,
37
Um,
Collier, we're gonna try to do a site meet with those people.
Yes. Yes, they are willing to meet and did kind of mark it out a little bit on the site where
Okay.
it would be.
Yep. All right.
Sounds
all
good.
right, there were a couple of places. I'll go take some pictures tomorrow with Billy's Causeway for Jen.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, do you want to close?
If anybody has anything else, if not, we'd take a motion to close.
Okay, I make the motion to close.
That's Penny.
Fine, whatever.
I'll second.
Anybody? Second from Richard. All in favor, Brendan,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Thanks so much for being with us in the summer evening.
Have a good night.
Alrighty.
Good day too.
Good
Take
night,
care.
All
everyone.
right. Good
Have a
night.
night, everyone.
Eric, quick one.
Yeah.
I sourced some milkweed. We're gonna plant in the fall, plants that we're gonna transplant.
All right. Well, like I said, we should definitely have a look. I haven't been down there. I meant to stop in the other day. The site was open, but I was on my way somewhere
Yeah.
else and couldn't stop
No,
in.
it's-
But
Just a nice meadow right now.
no, I understand. I just like I said, when we were out on site, I just would like to get an idea of what's currently there.
Yeah.
In terms of native versus non-native versus
Yeah.
hopefully no invasive.
Yeah.
But just to get an idea of what the baseline is there.
Yeah.
But excellent milkweeds are fantastic. So
Yeah. And
um,
I can actually have plants that somebody will move for me. Okay?
wonderful. That's
Okay.
excellent.
I just wanted to let you know that. Frank, stop laughing at me.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
Yeah, good night, everybody. I'm gonna go play with my cricket.
Thank you, Eric.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Frank.
Frank, you better be nice to me.
I'm always nice to you.
I will haunt you from my grave.
All right.
Good
Frank,
night.
Frank, just one question for you.
Yeah.
I meant to follow up on it, but it was late when I realized not this past Sunday, but the Sunday beforehand, my phone was on the fritz and I got a bunch of like text messages that said that they were new, but they were actually old. I got one from you on the chain with Brendan when we went up to the Summer Street property, and it says,
Okay.
"I'm here, give me a call." But when I saw it, I was like, Brendan didn't reply, so I'm assuming that this is part of what my phone was doing in terms of the wacky behavior. But I want to make sure that I didn't say that I'd be somewhere on the 14th and wasn't. Okay.
Nope. We're good.
All right, cool. Thank you, Frank. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Night,
You
everyone.
too.